I think the biggest difference to me between what I sold and most trades businesses, number one, we had a recurring revenue subscription-based model. So it was very attractive. The cash flow was easy to demonstrate and it was very easy for a purchaser to see why they're buying us, when they'd get return on investment. We weren't integral to that business. A conscious decision to actually sack ourselves from our own role and hire people to do the job roles that we did.
Plumbing, electrical, roofing or installing windows. It doesn't matter what trade you've built your business in. Trades businesses can be worth millions, but only if you know how to sell them. And it's never too early to start planning an exit. Even if you've got no immediate plans to sell your business, the time will come when you want to move on or retire. In order to get the maximum return and not screw up the sale, there are some simple things you can be doing right now to make sure you get the best exit. In this podcast, I'm joined by Mike Winnet, co-founder of IAM Productions, who built and sold his own business for 8 million quid. He explains how to work out what your business might be worth and talks through step-by-step actions you can take if you want to sell your own business but haven't a clue where to start. He also explains what life after the sale was like for him and where he'd recommend you invest your hard-earned cash. Mike is very down to earth and gives some really useful advice that you can take action on right now. We know business owners are busy, so we've separated the full interview into chapters. If you hover over the time bar, you can skip to the section you want to learn more about. The podcast is sponsored by Payaca, software that helps you sell more, organize your team, and save hours of time. Let's get into it. So, Mike, you've sold a business, but presumably that's very different from the trades businesses that we're talking to today.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the fundamental things will be the same, sort of how you go about selling, what makes you attractive to people that might potentially buy you, how can you complement a potential buyer's business and stuff like that, the cross-sell opportunities. But I think the biggest difference to me between what I sold and most trades businesses, there's two main things, I think. Number one, we had a recurring revenue subscription-based model. So it was very attractive. The cash flow was easy to demonstrate and it was very easy for a purchaser to see, why they're buying us, when they'd get return on investment and stuff like that, which I think a lot of trades businesses, or the ones that I'm aware of, don't have that. And the second one was we weren't integral to that business. Like, we had replaced ourselves in that business before the sale. And it was a conscious decision to actually sack ourselves from our own role and hire people to do the jobs roles that we did. Which again, I think a lot of tradespeople, especially if they're smaller, they probably won't do that themselves. They are actually quoting for jobs. They're turning up to meet clients. They are the person that their clients have got a relationship with. And most of the times they're installing the boilers, or they're doing the tiling, or they're, the bathroom installers. So they're the two main things I think would be the biggest differences.
Yeah, so a lot of businesses that we talk to now, particularly investing in Payaca, is that they're investing in service plans. They're investing in that recurring revenue. So I think that's becoming more and more adopted in trades businesses. They see the value of that consistent cash flow where, if you're a heating business, for example, you're going to have this boom in the winter where you're installing boilers, and then suddenly in the summer you're trying to fill it with servicing. So I think it's changing and probably the same in other trades as well. It's probably a bit easier in boilers where you've got that annual service as part of it.
Yeah, so is that what a lot of these businesses are, boom and bust? A lot of trades businesses are that, right?
Well, I think it depends on the trade, right? So heating is different from electrical. It's going to be more consistent, I think. But yeah, certainly for heating.
With heating, because you've got obviously people going into the winter months, they're going to be thinking about their boilers a lot more when they're switching them on. But even from a customer point of view, just smoothing it out with the service plan means that they don't go into the winter and then get suddenly hit with 3-4 grand bill because they haven't been looking after their boiler. Then suddenly they've just found out that it's broken.
Yeah, so that would be the biggest thing for me. If there's anyone listening to this thinking, do you know what, I'd love to sell my business, it would be how can I create a recurring revenue model? What products or what services can I create within my business or niche or services that I provide that I can actually package up and sell as a service plan or whatever? And that could be anything, I imagine. But like you said, I imagine it would be harder. If you're a tiler, you're probably not going to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
But say if you are a heating engineer, I get why that would make sense, or those types of trades.
Or electrical as well. It's you want someone to come if something breaks, right? And that's for business to business as well. That's a big one. They need.
Yeah. And you get that priority service as well, right? So it's just that peace of mind knowing that they're going to be there within X amount of time. So it's not you're going to be sat there waiting for an appointment for weeks on end. When you go on these kind of plans.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the key features of it. It's like somebody's going to be there within X amount of time. That's agreed.
So that would be the thing then. I would say, can I make a recurring revenue product or service within my business? That's the first thing. And if you can't, which I imagine there'll be a lot of people that see this that can't do that, then you need to think of, so how can I package this business? What would somebody want to buy? And it might not be worth as much, but it could be they're buying your client base, or they're buying your reputation, or the name or the brand that you've created. But then you've got that difficult thing of, how do I remove myself so I'm not integral to that? You know, if you are John Smith Boilers and you're the best boiler fitter in Warrington, then all of a sudden if it gets bought out by, you know, a big company, they're probably going to lose a lot of that client base. So it's tough. I imagine it's probably a lot tougher. But I might be wrong.
No, I think you're bang on. And the other thing, you're talking about exit planning there. Is that something that you did from the start for your business?
Yeah. And I think to come up with a proper business. Well, the problem is, right? And this might resonate with the audience that listens to this. Most people, especially in the trade industry, they worked for somebody else first doing that job and got pissed off and think, well, fuck that, I can do it myself, or I can do a better job myself. And then they basically set up in competition with the place that they just worked for. And they could have been a painter decker that worked for Bagnall's, big company, and then go, do you know what, I'm going to set up my own. And they just do jobs themselves, and, you know, they're not really tracking where orders come from. They're on Facebook and word of mouth stuff. They turn up to the jobs, they quote, they're doing all the painting. Then they might get a little bit busy and they might get one apprentice or somebody to help them out that they might even pay cash in hand to start with. But then you build that business, but all you've really done is created a job for yourself. And it's cool because you're getting the lion's share of the money and you're in charge of what job you want to take, but you've created a job for yourself. And that's a very difficult thing to package up and sell. You see it as valuable. You go, well, I'm doing 50, 60, 70 grand a year in painting and decorating business, but it's not worth 3, 4, 5, 10 times that to somebody else, which I think some people have this idea, if they don't backwards plan, that they're going to get to age 65, they're going to retire, and someone out the blue on the day they want to retire is just going to come and offer them £1 million for their business. That isn't going to happen for 99.99% of people unless you've already identified very early in your business plan who might potentially buy my business, why might they potentially buy my business, what am I doing to get on their radar, and you backwards plan those events. So take my own example. We knew we could potentially sell our content to 2 different people. So our business was we do online learning resources. Our learning resources sat inside a learning management system. There are numerous learning management system providers in the world. There are numerous content creating companies in the world. We could have sold our business to either of those 2 groups of people. So then it's like, who do we complement the most? Right? So we realized we complement the learning management system the most. They've got a product that might be worth $50,000 or $100,000 or pounds. Our product was between £5,000 and £10,000. So they could bolt our product onto their product and then sell that to their existing client base that they've got a great relationship with. So it's kind of a no-brainer to them. It also meant that if they bought our business, it could stop one of their competitors working with us. They could get exclusivity and they could lock people out of the market. So there was those kind of things that we actually identified and realized would be driving someone to buy our business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a painter and decorator or a tiler or a roofer, there's probably not going to be that really compelling cross-sell opportunity, I don't think. But because we knew that, and then we realized we didn't want to be integral to that business, we didn't have to do a 2-year workout, 3-year workout, which is what a lot of these companies want, especially if you are integral to the business.
Just explain what you mean by that for anyone listening who doesn't understand that sort of workout.
Yeah, so a workout is when most people sell their business, and it could be, take that example I said, if it is John Smith Boilers or whatever, they know that most clients use the business because of your reputation. Now, if, I don't know, Boilers For You buy that business, all of a sudden there's no personal touch, there's not that family feel, the customer have lost that relationship with the person they'd bought into. So quite often companies might pay you a little bit of money, then give you a salary for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years even. So you become an employee in the business you started and helped grow. you're well paid, but somebody else owns it. And it's so you can almost do a handover so they can be introduced to their new account manager for next year. So it's almost like a phased exit. So a lot of businesses, when they purchase businesses or there's an acquisition, that's what they do. They like to keep the old director, not always, but they like to keep the old directors, the old founders around for 12 months, maybe 24, sometimes up to 5 years. That's very, very common. I didn't want to do that. So to stop that being the case, I hired people to do all the jobs that I was doing in that business. So I could actually say, here's my business. This is how much money it makes. It's recurring revenue. Here's our growth. This is how we market the business. This is how many new leads we get in every week. All this is documented. This is how much business we close on a weekly basis. Here's all our manuals, as in the processes that we follow. That all needs to be documented. So all this stuff is, you're basically saying, here is a business in a box, and here is your management team and staff to make sure that business runs. And I've not worked in that business for the last 6 months. If you can demonstrate that, number one, you can negotiate better terms, as in more money up front, and you're avoiding shit like having to play politics for the next 2 years, 3 years when they've got you by the balls because they still owe you £500,000 or 200,000. So
sounds like a bit of a win-win, that, just because it kind of, like, from your perspective, you don't have that, like, that 2 year overlap that you just discussed.
Yeah, but not just that as well. Like, there's a million things that can go wrong, right? So imagine you were in a 2 year or 3 year workout and then the pandemic hits. Now, I'm not saying they might not complete on the terms they want, but I'm sure there'd be some legal justification there to say, do you know what, then now the value's
well, you've probably got targets to hit to get that money out.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. Like, you'd rather get your money up front, right? Rather than someone drip feeding your money over 5 years. And then also, you've got to play ball as well. Like, I'm sure they'd ask you to go above and beyond. So,
and people who've gone and started businesses probably don't want to be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Going back to that.
Exactly.
Right?
That was the thing that you left Bagnall's for, right? You didn't want to be told where you've got to paint, when you've got to paint, and being told how much money you could potentially earn on a job. You wanted to have that power and freedom to. So, yeah. But that's what I think. I think a lot of tradespeople, not just tradespeople, in all businesses, they've not really got a business. They've just got a well-paid job, and they get to call the shots on what jobs they do. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but you can't really sell that. Or if you can, for nowhere near the value you think you're going to get.
Do you think a lot of people have thought about, like, do they want to sell this business, and whether that's like, do they want to sell it in, like, you had a really short-term plan, but it might be that I still want to retire. What am I going to do when I retire?
I think to answer that question, I think most people don't even know what they are aiming towards or what success looks like. Like, a really good activity to do is just write down what you want. And success doesn't even have to be, it's a shit word anyway, but it doesn't even have to be, I want to earn £1 million or 100 grand a year or 10 grand a month. It could literally be, I only want to work 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Well, if that's your goal, write it down and then backwards plan from that. Exactly how do I get there? So here's something, and I'll take that example for you. If you only want to work 3 or 4 days a week, that's great. And people go, right, so then you still probably want the same amount of money. So you'd go, well, now if I'm only working 3 days, how much does my day rate need to be? It's like, even working basics out like that, you need to know, okay, so if my day rate needs to be, instead of it being £500, it needs to be £600 or £700 to make up for the day that I'm going to be taking off now. But then you've also got to factor in, what are you doing on your day off? You're probably now going to be spending more money or doing more things, or I'll take the kids to Alton Towers, we'll go here. So all of a sudden it's like, oh no, it's your day rate plus what are my expenses going to go up, because while you're in work, what are you spending your money on? A cost of coffee or something? Do you see what I mean? So there's loads of things that I think people don't even consider.
I really like that definition of where you're heading, though, in terms of, like, not just thinking about it as a financial outcome, but like almost just like reclaiming your time. It's one of my favorite stories from one of our customers, is like how he basically realized he was spending like 5 days a week working himself into the ground, and then he suddenly had that realization, like, I don't want to be doing this. I want to be working less time so he can help support the kids. Like, he's managing their football team. Like, shout out Platinum Boilers.
This is Matt Hughes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how did Matt create the business that he wanted? If he wanted to spend more time with his kids, working less, how did he achieve that?
Well, he's basically been working with one of our partners, Tommy Lees Muda, who's helped him really understand what to look at in terms of improving your business, understanding what you need to measure to get to a point where you can start stripping your hours back. So making sure you're taking the right customers on board that giving you high margins. You're not taking on like lots of scrappy, low value jobs that are taking up all your time, and then you're doing loads of repeat work for them because they're just awkward customers. So he's taking the right jobs, high value jobs, just installing boilers. And he's also he's using the right systems as well to keep him organized and to make sure that he's winning those jobs as well. So with this approach, he's kind of scaled everything back from working 5-6 days a week to now just working his 3 days, and he's just working with his kids' football team for the rest of the time now.
Yeah, when he's making just as much money as he was when he was working 5-6 days.
He's working. He's earning just as much as he was before. It's one of my favorite stories from a customer success point of view, because you hear people banging on about value, like earnings, like they're 10 a penny, those kind of stories. But to hear somebody talk about it from that point of view, and like say my success is being able to see my kids grow up, for example. It's a story that always sticks out in my mind.
But I see a lot of people just say to earn more money, just double your prices. That seems to be like such an easy thing, especially on Facebook. You get a lot of these trades experts saying, put your prices up, charge your worth. But he hasn't done that. He's gone, actually, I'll just do the jobs that I know are the right types of jobs with the right types of people.
Yeah.
Well, he's focusing on the margin, right? Rather than like the top line.
Yeah. Because just doubling your prices probably papers over the cracks for a lot of these businesses. You need to really get those systems in place. How do we get better at admin? How do we get quicker to respond to customers? How do we, respond in a way that makes it easy for the customer to understand what it is? How can customers book in with me?
Yeah.
Look at my phone. I've just moved house recently. I've got tradespeople WhatsApping me, but then texting me, sending me an email. It's like, well, hang on.
Yeah.
You're talking about something that's over here that's like, do you know what I mean? Or
it's something that we talk about a lot is not even just it's the profit from that job, it is the customer lifetime value.
Yeah.
It's you need to be measuring that from the start and knowing the value of this customer, even if it starts off as a small service and you're going to make 10 quid from it.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I invest in this type of customer because I know this type of customer is now going to keep coming back to me when they need a new boiler, when they need their, whatever it is that you do, they need this getting done.
Yeah.
Like that customer it looks like maybe I paid for that lead, maybe I've lost money on that initial sale, but how much have I made over the lifetime value of that customer? If you understand those metrics, then you can do what Matt's done because you can then focus on those that are going to make you the most money over the whatever time period you're looking at.
Yeah.
But most people would say that, but then not even work out how to happen. Like most people, if I said to any of your tradespeople, like, do you want to work less days a week or less hours? They go, yeah, I'd love to. Okay, so then what are you doing this week to make that thing actually happen?
Yeah.
And none of them do. They just like stumble zombie from one week to the next, and then they look back and it's a year's gone by, and nothing's changed. Nothing changes unless you proactively identify what the thing is you want to change, and then come up with a plan how to change it, and then work towards that plan. That was one of the biggest things that we did. It was literally write a plan. We know where we're going. We knew a date. We knew a figure that we wanted to sell the business. We knew kind of what we needed to do to be in that position by certain time points. And we just backwards plans go, right, so if we wanted a business worth 10 million quid, which was the actual target, we were a bit short on that. But, okay, so we all need X customers paying X amount per month, and we need to get a multiple of whatever the multiple was. Okay, that's fine. But then how do you proactively make sure that you hit those targets? So, okay, so we need to have this many clients by this date, this many clients by this date. Great, that's fine. But now what daily or weekly activities do you need to do? So I need to be contacting people on LinkedIn. I need to be putting out content. I need to be engaging with people. We need to be doing paid marketing, content marketing. How many calls did I need to make? Okay, how many trials on our or demos did I need to be doing? It's backwards planned pretty much too. This is what I'm doing each day, like time blocked.
Yeah.
But these tiny things were so we achieve that big goal at the end. Most people don't know that. I mean, like, say, take your software. I'm sure that you could help people get better at some of this stuff. Whereas if you look at early trades businesses, they're on site, they're actually working while they're trying to take it. Oh, I'll send you an invoice. You're getting invoices like 2-3 days after you spoke to a person, or quotes that a bit shit and stuff like that. So
well, I mean, that's exactly why I guess on Payaca we're giving them that system, or at least that infrastructure to put that system in place. That means that the business can run without them. That's why we're built this system that allows them to automate communications to customers, because that's so important. So effectively, like, it can run without them. So
But
I
not
think
just
it's
that as well. Like, if I'm buying a business, if I came to you guys and I said I want to buy your business, I want you to show me some
yeah,
stats, figures,
yeah,
data. Like, I
yeah,
need this all
absolutely.
documented. You telling me that you do roughly 25 roofing jobs a year? Cool. Show me.
Yeah,
So where do you get your leads from?
yeah,
How many leads are coming in? Where are you marketing? What's your marketing spend? What's your cost per lead? Now that blows most people's minds, where there's stuff out there to make it a lot easier for you, but that is what people want to know before they're willing to hand over £500,000, £1,000,000 for your business. I mean, think of a business like a car. You wouldn't just turn up and buy a car without a service history, right? You want to know, has it been looked after? If there's potentially any problems, a bit of history about what's going on, that's what you need.
That's one of the things that we're building is that place where you can put that service history, where you can keep all of those records about like all of your customers over time, and making sure that you've got automations in place that is going to message those customers when those services need to happen, and like all of that is there, and you can see the analytics on it. That's so important for anyone running a business to want to at some point sell it.
Yeah, just things as simple as like the quote conversion rates that we show in the
Yeah.
dashboards, and like you said, the automations is like that's a really strong part of it, because you were saying a moment ago like about having all the documentation of the processes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like with those automations, you've just got a list of them all basically, and exactly how they run. You can pretty much just hand the keys over once you've got the system set up the way it's supposed to be.
And even it's hard to explain. Even if you're not selling your business, you should do these things, because the place I used to work say that if you got knocked over by a bus, but you can't say that anymore. But if you went on holiday for a long time, or were lucky enough to go backpacking for a year, died, who the fuck runs a business? Like, everything needs to be documented. So you could literally go, here, this is how we log a call, this is how we invoice, this is how we quote a client. All that stuff needs to be there, because if you do grow and you're lucky enough to grow, you're going to have to train people up anyway. So it helps you with that. But also, if you are going to sell the business or need to replace yourself or whatever it might be, then you can go, well, here you go, here's all our manuals, this is how the business runs.
The other thing you did, though, you went a step further than that. You identified who might buy your business.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of people won't do that extra step.
Yeah, again, it's again, think of it. If you were going to buy a car, you would kind of roughly know what car you want to buy, right? So you'd almost need to think, well, who could potentially buy our car? So if you've got a 4x4, it might be a family. Like, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a family, or whatever. Like, there's certain different things. So we need to go, right, so what do we complement? What kind of people would be interested in buying this? And then you can almost market to or get on their radar differently. When people go, oh, there's loads of people that buy my business, tell me who. Identify 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses that would buy you and why. And that way you can then start making proactive moves to get on their radar. That's what we did. We had 2 different strategies. We had an aggressive strategy where we would actually attack the client base of businesses that we thought potentially might buy us. So it's either buyers or we're going to take all your customers. So they would potentially buy our business to protect their business. So if you're whatever,
Figma Adobe, isn't it? Really? That's Figma and Adobe.
Yeah, it's like that. So we are literally going to really aggressively attack your client base, and then you might buy us out just to protect yourself, and we'll leave you alone. We've had our money, job done. We also had another strategy, which was we would proactively look to work with companies so they could see how well our stuff integrated with them and how a potential partnership would work. And we knew if we worked with enough of them, it would potentially create tension between each other. So when someone wanted exclusivity, because they didn't want their competitors to also have access to our content and potentially sell to our client base, they would then want to stump up the money to make sure that they could sell their product to our clients and our product to their clients. And it was that person that bought our business. So you've got to kind of have an idea who would buy you and why would buy you, and you can actually start reaching out. You don't want to reach out and say, look, we're trying to sell our business, because that weakens your hand. But what you do want to do is, how can we do stuff now so they're aware that we exist? And it could be a bit of needle, a bit of competitive tension, or it could be, oh, we've worked with lots of your clients, we're doing this. Did you know that we can also help you with X, Y, Z? Why don't we come up with a partnership? You're not even suggesting you buying us at this point. You want to get a working relationship so you can meet the right people, network the right people. Then when it comes to selling, you can go, we're thinking about selling. Would you be interested? And they're thinking, do you know what? We've had a great relationship with you. We know you guys. So yeah, that's why we did that.
I think when it comes to trades businesses, the most likely acquirer is another trades business that's growing, or like those that are going and buying various trades businesses.
Yeah, would you say it would be a like for like business? So if I was, I don't know, a bathroom installer, would it be a bigger bathroom installation company that would want to buy your
From
business?
what I've seen, I mean, there was one. I think he's put it out there in public now, and maybe we try and get him on. But Wayne Battesse, a guy who's fairly big in the heating businesses, just bought another
I know
another
Wayne,
plumbing
actually.
heating business.
He's
I
got
think
off
you
the-
won his
off the
podcast,
tools.
weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he bought Elite Plumbing, something like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm getting that right. So again, yeah, that was one heating business buying another. It kind of makes a lot of sense, I guess, when you're, these kind of trades, they're quite specialist. Like you need to.
So what's he buying there then? Is he buying?
Well, I mean, perhaps we should get him on though.
Yeah.
See if we can. I don't know the detail of this. I just saw him post.
It'd be interesting to see. So is he keeping the business the name it is, or is he rebranding it, or does it mean that he's got like more vans, more lads?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like, I don't know the detail of this, but it looked like a business of like a reasonable size. Well, like like 10, maybe 10 guys. And yeah, it looked like they were buying the business, keeping the branding, and taking it on. But yeah, we should see if we can get him.
But when you flip that as well, by the way, a lot of times if you are looking to grow your business, you can acquire a business, and there's a lot of ways that you can increase the value of the business that you're buying or reduce costs. Now, if you've got a great management team in place, you've got, I don't know, a big sort of company, you've got like a head office, a management team, and you know how to market your business on social media. If you can find a sort of tradesperson's business that doesn't really have the systems in place, or isn't really keeping track of this, or isn't really doing any social media marketing or online marketing or content marketing, you could probably get a great price on a business and then you could tart it up. It's like flipping houses in my mind.
Yeah.
Go in, give it a lick of paint, take better photos, put it on the right websites. You could probably make a big amount of money on that. So that's another way that you can look at businesses that are undervalued.
Yeah. Even the stuff that you've been talking about, like if you've got, you in your business have got that system of building up that recurring revenue, and you look at this other business who've not put that in place, but they've still got the customer base.
Yeah.
You've got that customer base that you can just transfer that model to and make it like 10, 100 times more valuable in pretty rapid.
And depending as well on how you structure that deal, you could probably pay them out of money that you're going to gain from that business. So it's not even coming out of your pocket up front, if that makes sense. So that's why the recurring revenue module is key.
What's your experience with brokers and people who can help you sell your business?
Well, I would say avoid them if you can, because realistically, they make it sound like they're doing a lot for you. But what are they really doing? Doing a nice PDF and sending out a blanket email to people that might want to buy your business. If you've done the stuff that I've said, where you've got an idea of what type of businesses would want to buy you, what your product or services can do for other businesses or potential purchasers, how you complement other people's businesses, you can kind of do it yourself. So we were quoted, we had a company come in and they wanted $7,000 a month just to market our business to potential buyers. And then it was 40 grand as well. So they wanted 40 grand, I think, as well to take us on as a client, and they wanted $7,000 a month. And it was like, our little black book, you got access to that, but no. And also as well, that's a job to them. Like the actual success rate, you're one of 30 businesses that this one guy's trying to sell at the moment. So they don't care about it in my mind as much as you will, or the care and attention.
Does the fact that their fees are like a flat fee up front rather than a percentage of the sale like affect their performance?
Yeah, well, I would argue so. Yeah, but I mean, you can negotiate your own things. That by the way, most things can be negotiated, right? So you could probably argue some of those fees down for a bigger percentage off the end. And in theory, you'd think they'd have to work harder to get that sale. But if you're on 7 bags a month, do you want to sell this business in 3 months or 6 months?
Yeah.
I know what I'd be doing as a salesperson, right?
Yeah, completely the wrong incentive.
Yeah,
it's like some of the tradies that turn up at your house and charge you a day rate. If I said how much to do this job, they go $1,000. I bet they could do it quicker than if they were on £300 a day, right? Take 4 days, wouldn't it? And that's what it's the same thing. It's the same thought process, right? Because everyone wants to make money for nothing. So, so my experience is don't use them. It was a bad experience. I felt they were trying to rip me off. They didn't really understand the business. They didn't really know who would buy the business. It was almost like we've got a database of wealthy investors. We'll do an email campaign to them and then keep you on our website, and hopefully we might get some leads or interest in your business. So
Did they at least have some evidence of like other businesses that they'd been involved in selling?
yeah, but they'd sold businesses, but I think I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I think it was like less than 10% get sold within 12 months. It's something mad like that.
5%, on an article I was reading. I was actually going to ask you about that figure because I just couldn't believe it when I was reading it.
Yeah, well, I was being kind saying 10%.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I thought it was sort of between 5 and 10, but yeah, that's no success rate. Imagine if that's the thing that you do for a living and you say you're the best at, and you've got the audacity to charge someone $7,000 a month to do, and you only actually achieve that thing less than 10% of the time. It's a bit of a joke.
I guess they're asking for the money before they even looked at like how good the business is, or like they get that retainer and they just want that, so they're just spamming everyone.
So there's that. So like I would say avoid them, and I'd also say try and find an accountant that's actually dealt with businesses like yours and has dealt with an acquisition or selling a business, because stuff like managed accounts and stuff like that are so important. Like I said, you've got to demonstrate how much money comes in, how many leads come in, how much money goes out, profit loss, where there's potential growth in your business, even down to plans for your business as well. What would you do in year 2, 3, 4 after the sale if you were still having the business? You need to kind of have all those things documented. That's why the backwards planning is so important. So you make it like a no-brainer to a potential purchaser. And you probably know your industry better than any of these companies, because they're selling Jane's hairdressers. They're selling John Smith's butchers. They're selling these types of businesses as well, where their client base or audience isn't necessarily going to be who would buy your business. Like you said, if you're a big boiler installer or window fitter, you're probably going to get bought out by the big boys. So like you kind of know. So go into their local area, take clients away from them, cause a bit of trouble, do better marketing than them, get seen, get noticed, and then either invite them around the table, or they'll come to you anyway when they realize that they're losing business to you. That's what I'd do.
I guess one thing like business owners will be worried about when they're going to come in to sell their business is maybe they built up this team that they really like and they're invested in. Is what happens to that team after sale? Like what was your experience of that?
Yeah, that was a consideration. What you don't want to do is look like you've kind of like used them to grow your own business, and you fucked off at the first time someone's throwing some money at you. So we were lucky enough that we kind of sold to a company that we knew were going to improve things for them. So, are they going to have medical insurance, gym membership, pay rise, job security, all these things, shares in the new business? These were all things that we spoke about at the early stages of negotiation with the company that wanted to buy us. So that's what you can do. But they will still be people that you have worked with that will be nervous, disappointed. Some will leave. People deal with change very differently. So you can't really remove that completely from happening, because, different people react differently. But you can definitely ask for certain conditions for the people that are going to be remaining in that business. The first thing that the people did when they bought our business was, I think they give everybody a $7,000 pay rise on their basic. I've never seen a group of people so happy to see the back of me within 5 minutes. It's like, see you later. Like, here's your box. Like, frame in there, plan. Like, see you later. So they got that. They got shares in the new business, which was a right touch because they've sold again since that. So a lot of them, were getting 20, 30, 40,000 pound increase in their actual package per year.
You joke there, but do you think any of those people in that team would come work for you again at another company?
Well, they've been clever. They've priced them out of ever working for us. Now, I would have maybe 2 or 3 of them work with me again, if I'm honest. And they're always hard to find, isn't it? I mean, how many people you've worked with. You can probably count on one hand how many people you'd want to work with again, right? But there was 2 or 3 there.
We've got more than that.
Okay. Payaca love all their team. No, but then there's a few. But because they'd done that straight away and give them a pay rise, put them on great packages, give them shares in the business on profit share and stuff like that, it's almost impossible to get these people out of that business now. So they've been smart like that, really. So that's why they do it. But it was interesting to see how different people reacted. Some people panicked. Well, what if there's new change? Is my job safe? Am I going to... Other people doubled down, down on the gum shield, whatever the saying is, and just gone, I'm going to work really hard for these new people. And they've actually skyrocketed, how much money they earn. They've seen the opportunity in this, because that's your time. The boss man's gone, right? So if you were management, what's stopping you becoming the go-to person, the guy that knows everything in that business now?
But some people love the early stage though, right? So like, yeah, they've got a great package, but if they were like invested in it because they really like being there at the start, like you did, because you want to go off and start your own thing.
yeah.
You've talked about that a bit. Like, do you think that there are some people who would come work for you again just because they want to do that?
Yeah, maybe. Or the flip side of that is maybe you've just proved to them that, if you started your own thing, maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you could go through an acquisition as well. So, it's the same. If they stayed, you're going to lose people. You're going to gain people as you go through this process. And that's no different when you sell. Some people will be happy for you. Some people that you think would be happy for you won't be. It's just life, right?
So, Mike, you talked a lot about everything you did preparing for that sale. You've made the sale now. You've set it up so you don't have to do anything. You can just walk away with the money. What now? Like, what do you do with that money?
Yeah, it's the dream, isn't it, for a lot of people, especially, I imagine, like myself, a lot of the tradespeople, working class. This is the dream, right? You have a few £1 million in your pocket and free to do whatever you want. But I would say there's so many stories of when people retire and they end up losing it all, fucking it up, dying because they've not got a reason to live. So you need to fill your time with something productive. It's very easy to kind of, drink yourself to death or go on. I know it sounds a bit morbid. So I try to occupy myself with investing in property, looking at property. How can I make sure that I don't blow this money or it gets wasted? So that's what I did. I started to look at stocks and shares, almost like, forget that things happen now. Let's invest that money and I'll come back to it in 30 years time and just carry on as normal. So within 2 weeks, I was applying for jobs elsewhere because I needed to keep myself busy. So I would say do something productive. If you like business, set up a business that more suits to what you want to do. Set up a business where you only have to work 2-3 days a week, or advise other businesses from your sector that are looking to achieve the same thing that you can do. You want to kind of keep yourself busy, I would say. But it's really down to personality type. I had a business partner, Ian, who he can sit there and just chill out and relax in his own company. I'm like the opposite of that. I need to keep busy. So that's what I was a bit manic, to be honest.
How do those investments go?
It depends, isn't it? It's hard to judge them. It's easy to say they're all shit, but then it's against the backdrop of global pandemic, so it's not really a fair assessment on a lot of them. I ended up making content and making a YouTube channel about the investments that I made and some of the people that I came across that were telling you to invest their money with these things. So when you get a few million quid, you'll meet a lot of people that are trying to get their cut of your money to give you advice on stuff they've never achieved themselves. The world's full of those people. But yeah, the investments, obviously, the safe as houses is the same for a reason, right? Invest in property. But my honest assessment is it's hassle. Tenants are hassle. So unless you're going to do these things on a big scale, actually develop a block of flats yourself and you own all 30 of them and like that, if you've got one little 2 up, 2 down in Warrington, or you've got a flat in Hull, it's hassle for not much return, if I'm honest. So it's almost like invest it in stocks and shares, crack on as normal, because there'll be a lot of people telling you what you should do. That was the biggest thing that pissed me off. Everybody's an expert on what you should do if you've got £1 million in your pocket. Everybody. School mums, dads at sports day, your mates down the pub, all experts on what you should be doing.
Yeah.
But none
what
of them,
kind of thing are they telling you? Like,
I'd do this. I'd buy a nursing home, and I'd buy a nursing home, and I'd let people live there for free. Well, you're not gonna have any money then.
Yeah,
You'll be working
in
in 6 months' time. I'd live off the interest. The interest at the time was like 0.9%. So actually, inflation's more than that. So you'd actually lose money. Like if you listen to your own advice, you'd lose money.
Did you actually point this out to people?
You're banging your head against a brick wall because you're arguing with people that haven't got any. Like you're arguing with an idiot, right? They've never been in this position. They're probably never going to be in this position, and they don't understand how. If you put money in a bank, because I used to, at the end of Learning Heroes, I was paying myself £10 a month. That was my actual salary I was taking. So I actually took a pay cut after I sold the business because I only started paying myself £5 a month out of my own money. I didn't go, let's go mad and let's spend all this money. I basically ring-fenced 3 years worth of money, and I drip-fed myself £5 a month as a salary and just lived on £5 a month then, and invested my other stuff in property, stock shares, other businesses, stuff like that.
And what jobs were you applying for?
Estate agents was the one that I first, well, a number of estate agents in Warrington, because I wanted to invest in property, but I didn't want to pay someone to teach at me in a travel lodge in Basingstoke for 24 hours over a weekend.
Get paid.
Yeah, I wanted to actually, why not learn it properly, get paid for my learning, learn about the industry through doing rather than a shortcut course, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to deliver on the promises they make. So
Did you do that? Did you go and work for an estate agent?
I couldn't get a job, no.
It's interesting.
No one would employ me.
Yeah, I was going to ask about.
But to be fair, I'd be a very difficult employee.
Yeah.
Because of the reason why I wasn't employed, because I didn't want to be an employee anymore. So
I can imagine like switching careers. It's quite hard to get in, like applying for entry level jobs when you've had a few years on you.
Yeah, and it makes them nervous as well, right? Why would you, as an estate agent that might pay lads on the phone maybe 18, 19 grand a year, and maybe a commission if they sell some things, why would you want to employ somebody that wants to work on the phones that's just sold a business for 8 million quid?
Yeah.
You're thinking, what are they up to? Like, what are they doing? So
how far did it go? Did you interview anywhere?
Yeah, I went for interviews, and when
did you get any feedback on it?
Well, one woman said, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, how I can't make you work a Saturday because you just say no. And so I even offered to work just commission only. Just pay me on the stuff that I sell. I know it sounds really shitty, but my actual thought process was, someone phones me up, says, oh, do you know what, we're thinking about selling the house, blah, 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 blah. I could go, oh, I'll buy that. Not even put it on the market. Like, boom, I'm getting this before it's even gone on the market. That was like my thought process. Like, why compete with all the other investors that want to buy? I'm getting these. I'm taking the calls. Oh, I'll buy that. I'll just pay cash. Oh, I'll buy you 2 down for 70 grand or whatever. That's what I was thinking I'd do. But it didn't happen like that. So.
Did you think about starting an estate agent?
No, because I didn't want that to be my actual business. You know what I mean? I didn't want that. I like learning about things. I like doing myself, but I didn't want to, because towards the end of selling my business, we'd grown to a point where we had like 23, 24 staff and stuff like that. I wanted a break from customers. I wanted a break from employees. I just kind of wanted to do my own thing and just get myself set up long term. And then if I wanted to go again, go again. But I love business. I love startups. So I always knew I was going to set up another business. And that's something I would always say. You might have it with your businesses, right? You just think, you can't sit on your hands. It's cool going on a long holiday and, seeing some of the sights and whatever, maybe moving to your dream house and maybe getting your dream car. But then what? Because your mates are all at work on Wednesday at 11. Your missus is boring. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
What do you talk about?
You
normally
fell in the trap there.
You know what I mean? Like, I bet when you go home, you talk about work. You will tonight when you speak on the phone. You'll talk about what you've done today. You'll talk about like things that's happening.
Yeah.
When you've been in the same house for and not done anything, it's like you've run out of things to say, really.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't know.
I
don't talk that much about work just because it's very hard to find people to relate. You'll know this. You're running a business. Like, not many people around you.
You must vent, though,
that.
right?
I don't know.
Dan's done this. Luke's done this. For fuck's sake.
Not really. I don't.
Exactly.
No. Genuinely, I don't.
I don't believe you.
No. I'm not saying I don't vent about those things. I don't vent about those things at home.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's hard to find someone who it's interesting.
It's just
right?
the best example I can give, and it's not even a business one; it's a sporting one. When Tyson Fury won the world title, then what? His whole life has been leading up to this thing. My whole time in that business was leading up to this sale that I'd literally meticulously planned, executed this plan to achieve. And guess what? No one gives a fuck.
But that's
no
like
one.
That's everywhere. That's that gold medal syndrome. Like, so many people like,
and that's what it is when you sell your business.
But if you are focused on the result, if that is the thing that you're building up to sell the business, and that is your goal, and that is everything that you build towards, like.
Yeah.
Instead, I would say focus on the process. Like, if you love the process of getting there, then it's not anything. It's like, well, I love doing this thing. I'm going to keep doing that thing. And you don't have the same problem. I don't think.
No, I agree. That's why I said it's very much down to like the mentality of the people involved, right? I know I do this work, run business, do startup because I love it and it keeps me out of trouble. And I mean, like, I've got stuff that should probably speak to people about or deal with, or why can't you just sit on your own and chill, Mike? Why the fuck? I probably should see someone to find out why I can't sort them. But no, instead of acknowledging those things, I just work in my business, and I'm constantly thinking about marketing campaigns and growing an audience and sales and marketing. How can I improve this and business?
But with
that, it's quite normal though, isn't it? Like, you've got to have purpose. Like, people need.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's that loss of purpose. I hated people saying to me, "What do you do?" After I sold the business. What do you do? Because you go, "Oh, I sold my business for £8 million. You sound like a cock," right? So people either think you're showing off, or you're a prick.
Yeah.
So then you realise, well, I won't tell anyone about that. But then if you say I've not got a job, again, people think, "Oh, well, what the fuck do you do then?" And then, so I found myself lying. Oh, working in IT. No fuck all about computers. Do you know what I mean?
But do you think it runs counter though to your like meticulous exit plan, meticulous plan to get to that goal? This is almost like the opposite of that, is to say, well, actually, I love the process. Therefore, yeah, I guess you do need the goal, but like, what you're doing now, are you doing the same thing? Are you like saying, right, I want to get to that exit
Do you mean
point?
in the business that I've got at the moment?
Yeah.
No, I would say like I don't follow a lot of my own advice at the moment, which weirdly, it's because it wasn't the right environment. We've gone through a pandemic, we've gone through Brexit, so there's been a lot of things that are kind of outside our control. Whether or not you think they should impact you is like a completely different argument. My thought process is head down, work hard, stick to the plan, you'll be all right, regardless of who's running government or if we're in or we're not in Europe, whatever it might be. So, but the reality is it made people nervous to spend money. They cut back on marketing and stuff like that, and people weren't sure about their own jobs. So you were impacted by this thing that happened. Now we've got cost of living, inflation, so there's lots of things there that can impact it. So it's not really been clear what we're trying to do. Whereas now I feel like it's a lot clearer, especially the last sort of 6 months, on what I want to be doing, the types of clients that I want to be working with, the type of work that we want to do. Is it profitable? Is there a margin in it? How easy is it to achieve results for our clients? All these things that good businesses should be aware of. It's now made it clear as like, right, now I'm set on what I'm doing. Right now, do I want this to be a lifestyle business and it's a journey where we can build it and we can have it, make nice connections and do lots of good work for lots of people and for the next 10 years a lifestyle business? Or should we now come up with a recurring revenue model, grow it, and then look for who might want to buy this business in 2 years time, 5 years time, 10 years time? So then you get to that point where you have to start thinking about those things.
I would argue you could probably do both at the same time though. You're ultimately trying to make something as valuable as possible so that you could sell it at any point, that you have got that option, but yet still progressing it in the way that you want to progress it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can have that argument, and I'd agree. I would agree with you to a certain point, but like, yeah, lifestyle business, or do you want to sell it, or like a business that you enjoy so much and you want to be known as whatever it might be? I didn't want to be known as e-learning boy in my old business. I didn't really care about e-learning, if I'm honest. Which is a mad thing to say, right? I don't even really care about the thing that I do for a business.
Yeah.
Or is it? Or is it just most people don't want to admit that?
Yeah, I guess like there's two sides of it, isn't there? There's like there's the subject area that actually operates in, but like that wasn't what you were interested in. But what you were interested in was just like all the mechanics of getting it off the ground to a point.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah. I like that. I mean, when you guys turned up here today, you were saying how much you love helping tradespeople grow their business and being successful, right?
Yeah.
That's all you kept talking about. Whereas me, I was thinking, fucking hell.
Yeah.
All right.
But I guess like,
do you know what I mean?
But there is that
I hate e-learning. I sell it for a living. That's what I was like in my old business. You were like the opposite of me.
Yeah, but I love the process of saying, I love the process of like creating something and selling it to someone, adding some value to someone, and someone like handing me some money for that value I've created to them. Is actually, it doesn't matter
and
what
that
the subject
good, right?
matter is, right? But it doesn't, like, that was the same for e-learning. It didn't matter whether it was e-learning. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
But you still value that process, and I guess
and that's the key thing that you said there. When it's like value, when you're giving lots of value, it's not easy, but it's nice solving a problem for someone, and the money's almost a byproduct. Obviously, exactly, we're all here for money.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people look at sales like it's a dirty word and it's a bad thing, but it's not if what you're selling actually helps somebody go from A to B and does the thing that you're telling people it does, and it improves their lives. Like, if anything, it's your duty to market that thing better and sell more of it so you actually can help people that deserve help. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, I agree.
Thanks very much, Mike. That was brilliant. Some really interesting insights there, and hopefully get a lot of people thinking. That's it for this episode. I hope you found the information we shared useful. If you'd like any support on the topics covered, leave a comment below the video or head over to the Payaca website and we'd be happy to help. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the conversation, please support the channel by subscribing and liking the video.